Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are off-site this week. We've got it out here at Fullness Farm, which is like a great farm right outside of Baton Rouge. Very cool. It's right on the border, and what they've got out here is really incredible. I'm very excited to see and hear what Allison and Grant have created over the years and what they continue to do. So I'm excited to get to that episode. But before we do, give a big, wonderful shout out and thank you to the amazing folks that bring you this show each and every week. Horizon Financial Group, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, Falaya Real Estate, Mimosa Handcrafted, Lakeman's Health Center. You know our outfit of the day is always brought to you by McClavey Limited. And let's get to it. So welcome, Allison and Grant, to the Patty G Show. Thank y'all so much for hosting us out here. And it's a gorgeous day. We've got some fans and a tent, make everything work, but I love it. So welcome, y'all. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, and welcome to Fullness Farm.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about y'all's journey. So for those that may not be aware, who are y'all and what the heck is Fullness Farm?
I'm Grant Guidroz.
And I'm Allison Guidroz.
And I guess, the journey. How long do you got? You know? Where does it begin?
Where does it begin for y'all?
I guess for me, agriculture, my journey in ag started spending summers in Jonesboro, Louisiana, at a family farm. It is an old dairy farm that went the way of a lot of dairy farms in Louisiana. You know, as it went from 4,000 or 6,000 dairies to 40 dairies. You know, so but my uncle. When I grew up, when I'd go up there, my uncle does cattle. He's a cattleman, and then they always had a summer garden. So I'd see, a bunch of corn, a bunch of tomatoes, a bunch of stuff. And I did always think it was cool, and I was never very hands-on, but I did get exposed to it then and thought it was cool, going to UPICS. And then flash forward, I was a finance major. Thought I wanted to not work very hard and make a bunch of money. And then fell in love with gardening, fell in love with Allison, and this became our dream to do a farm. But we're two young kids in school, so we started Fullness Organic, putting in raised beds for people in people's backyards, and because that's how we got started. That's what we were doing, and that was fun. It was a great little side hustle, a great dipping our toe into entrepreneurial endeavor. But we realized that we needed to go work on farms if we really wanted to make it work. That was really the move, to apprentice. And so that's what we did after graduating. We went and worked at Inglewood Farm.
Yeah, so we worked on 2 different farms doing like a formal apprenticeship. So we committed to working at least a year and work under masters, that are actually doing this as a living. We kind of thought between ourselves, we took a course at LSU where the book was a husband and wife making a living on 5 acres. And we were dating at the time, and we were like, okay, could a husband and wife make a living on a small farm, And so that was our question. And so we wanted to, work under masters, because it really is a trade like any other trade where there's a lot of nuance in it and variations there. So anyway, we worked in Alexandria for a year at Inglewood Farm, which is one of the only organic vegetable farms in Louisiana. And we did a year there, and then we went to Arkansas, to a place called Arkansas Natural Produce. And that was a husband and wife team that started at the year I was born. So I think we were about 25 at the time, so they've been doing it for 25 years and had customers those whole 25 years. So it's one thing to kind of start up, it's another thing to be able to continue for that long. And we were there for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Stayed longer.
We were really indebted to them. And we did a nationwide search to figure out where we wanted to go learn and work. And that was our top choice, was going there. Really great husband and wife team, small scale, year round. A lot of it's under a greenhouse, selling to 40 or 50 different restaurants in Little Rock, really crushing it. He's had a houseboat, BMWs and stuff. The guy's done really well, and his farm really works like a clock. And you can tell a lot about a guy from, I guess it's any trade. You can kind of tell, whoever built this house. It's like, wow, okay. And so his farm really speaks to his character and his skill, and him and his wife, very good team. And but at this point in his career, he's on the back end of it, and so he had never had an apprentice before, and so we talked him into it. And he said, yeah, if you can figure out housing, you can come up here and learn and work. And so we did. We bought an RV, lived there for a year by a stream, and I really liked him. And it was very foundational. I remember one story that's pretty cool is we were there. We were working with the crew, and so he used to get the crew started, and then he would go get in the hot tub. So one day we're down at and his place is at the top of this hill, and the hot tub's up there with his house, so he could overlook this valley that we're kind of farming in. And the crew's like, man, look at him up there, just in his hot tub while we're down here. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's why I'm here, because when I'm 55, I don't want to be working down here with you guys. I want to be, and so very, very good guy, very smart guy, very kind of military minded. And but then also very, very fun loving, and fun when it's time to be fun, but then serious when it's time to be serious, and very dedicated. And
a story I like about him in our time there was that he gave us standards that we needed to meet as far as how many pounds of lettuce do you harvest in an hour, how many hundreds of pounds of salad are we trying to have in the box truck, leaving it, just those kind of metrics. And one time he told us, you might want to think about another career. If you don't get faster, you were pretty good doing the electrical work that we did, when we were building a little cabin for his dad. It's like, maybe
I'm an electrician,
maybe this is not for you at all, and you really need to be focusing on electrical or something, whole different trade.
But that's why we're there. That's why we're there, to have somebody be like, you need to pick it up. If you want to do it, you're going to have to do one of the things he would say is, do what you're doing, just do it faster.
Well, and that's something like when you go there, you get to see that firsthand, because again, we've done raised beds at my parents' house growing up, but never ever was it a thought of how many pounds per hour can you harvest of lettuce. It's like, but when you get to that level of when you're servicing so many clients and customers, you have to be down to, okay, it takes me so many minutes to harvest one head, to clean it and process it and do all of that. You've got to know those numbers. Just like any other business, your numbers are now time and efficiency from a harvesting standpoint to a planning standpoint, to then I'm sure y'all have every weather app in the book to know what it's going to be today, tomorrow, every day.
He's good at predicting or like looking at all the factors and predict. I ask him what the weather is going to be like instead of looking at the app.
I picked that up from Jay.
Yeah.
Our mentor in Arkansas. He was always doing that. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
So is it apps or is it just intuitiveness? How are you tracking this weather?
I do. You have to pay attention to the animals.
I put our zip code, and I do 70808 weather, or 70810 weather, and that gives me a 10-day, and then also I can click on it and see by the hour, okay, it's this percent chance of rain, but what is that actually looking like? Is it
by the radar?
Is it going to rain an inch? Is it going to drop an inch in an hour? Or is it going to be a little drizzle? And so kind of honing in, and then eventually looking at the weather radar, the weather channel.
Yeah.
And that really helps me hone, especially in the summertime. It's just, you know how it is if you live here. It's
just rain every day.
Yeah.
It could be rain every day, and it could be where it's very hyper local in the summer. Mm-hmm. In the sometimes you get big storms coming through, but a lot of times it's like, oh no, this little red dot on the radar is going to hit you, or it's going to kind of really have to be more honed in the summertime, because you can get caught. You got your one of the things we do on a small scale we're able to do are use these big giant tarps to cover up the soil, kind of like the infield of baseball field that they cover it up while it's raining. And so we try to keep, if a bed is let's say just prepped. It actually happened yesterday where we prepped our beds as far as we broad fork them, till them, fertilize them, so they're all nice and fluffy. And then this rainstorm's going to come through. It's just an hour rainstorm, just 30 minutes, but it's torrential downpour that would really mess us up, and
enough to mess your work up.
So we have to kind of be vigilant about what's going on. It's always something, that whether it's, and then in the wintertime it's hard freezes. But it's definitely part of the game, the weather keeping us on our toes. But it's sort of a little microcosm for farming. You get a little bit of stress that's good for you. You're always kind of on your toes a little bit, but it's not stress that's going to kill you. But it is. But I kind of like it. I think it's good for us, where it's like I have to be vigilant and have to be on be aware of what's going on.
But it's enough to keep you from getting lazy and slacking off about the weather. You know, it's like you have to, like for me, weather's not greatly going to impact my day, so it's like I don't know what the weekend's going to look like, honey. Like I'm like, it could rain, could not. I have no idea. You know, it's going to be hot. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But as far as dialing it in, I have no idea. But for y'all, you can't slack off in that regard. It's no, we have to know what it's going to be in the next couple of hours, because if we have 3 or 4 hours in the morning where we can go and harvest something or till up some soil or whatnot, we got to make it happen. We can't just wait and say, oh, it might rain, let's not get too heavy invested into something. It's like, nope, we have a 3-hour window, go and execute.
And the vigilance comes from getting burned. You know, where you're like, oh, like it just feels, it's like, oh man, you know, like, and it's fine, but you're like, it's just not ideal. You're like, oh man, those were beautiful beds. I really can't do anything now.
So y'all have kind of apprenticed around Louisiana and apprenticed in Arkansas. What made y'all kind of gravitate towards where we are in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, whenever we were in Arkansas, we worked together a lot on our business plan, and what we kind of developed between ourselves was that we want to grow the best food possible for our friends and family. And we're both from Baton Rouge. We both went to Baton Rouge High, both went to LSU. Our families are here. So we did have that moment of like, yeah, we could go to Austin, or we could go to North Carolina, or we didn't have any kids. We had no, you could go somewhere else, but we love Baton Rouge, and
we always wanted to come back here.
And it's fun to be a part of like what you want to see more of in your hometown, you know, and it's really fun to have a business where we're serving. Like at the farmer's market, it might be our second grade teacher and somebody we played soccer with growing up and our parents' next door neighbor. And it really keeps you accountable to have the best quality possible and keeps you honest, you know?
And we're both from here, so we already had deep roots here, no pun intended, you know, but yeah, we wanted to come back here, raise our family, be with our friends. And then, we feel like the food movement here really needed us. Whereas if you're going to go start a small little organic farm, don't go to Asheville or don't go to Oregon. Like they've got plenty of farms there. It's like here you have this year-round growing season, a very like rich food culture. Yeah. Where people here, that's maybe one of the best meals I've had are in people's homes. Mm-hmm. People really celebrate food here, and there's a rich culture of, we kind of take it for granted, but I mean pickled okra, pickled beans, things like that are in Bloody Marys. Well, it's things like okra. It isn't grown above the Mason-Dixon line or something, or like people have never heard of it. And so there's certain melitons and just all this food culture in Louisiana. And then, but maybe the Baton Rouge food scene would maybe got too corporatized, too top down, where we sort of lost that. But it was always here, and it always is. And then, it needs to be cultivated and needs to be celebrated. And
it's been amazing to see just from. The first farm we worked on, we were helping sell at the farmers market, so that would have been in maybe like 2012 or something like
10
that.
Even. Yeah.
And then, so even from just selling with the first farm and then coming back after apprenticing for a few years and coming back to sell, it was amazing just the shift in knowledge and demand. And I remember for the first one, it was a lot of educating on why organic, why does this matter, all that kind of stuff. And then when we came back, I was expecting that would be a big job of ours, doing the educating, but it was like people were coming to us saying, oh no, I need this because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me about, you know.
Yeah, and really seeking us out. Farm. Yeah, really seeking us out. And
then, we saw that there is a lot of demand here. Mm-hmm. But that it's like iPhones in 1920, people would have loved them. The demand is there. You don't have to create demand for infinite knowledge handheld device. It has to be created first, and so that's something that it's not that places wouldn't love a small organic farm. It's just that it's not there. It's not produced yet. So we sort of saw that's where we're needed. We're needed to, maybe bring some ideas that are on the coast, bring them here. Some of the farming ideas, and But we were really lucky to get plugged into a great farmers market that had been going on for 20, 25 years. And that was pretty neat that we could just show up with our stuff and join the party.
So how did y'all find kind of this location that we're at? I mean, how many acres are we on here, and where did y'all start looking to say, here, where are we going to buy land?
When we got back to Baton Rouge, we got odd jobs. I started helping a guy put in cattle fences. She started working at Whole Foods, and we were looking for land. And a family, her parents' neighbor's sister used to live in California, and she found out about what we were doing. She's like, "That is so cool. I'm a realtor. I'll help y'all any way I can." And her name's Kate Griffin, and she and I was just thinking, maybe she'll get back to us, maybe she won't. I wasn't really expecting it. Wasn't very formal. And then she emailed us back with some properties like, "Hey, some of these look good. This one won't work for this." And all these properties, the problem with them is they cost money.
There's no free land in Baton Rouge.
And so and she said, "Well, do you need to own the land?" And I told her no. And a farmer author we're really fond of, he's a legend in our circles. His name's Joel Salatin. He writes a lot about advising young farmers to get started on leased land and invest your capital in movable infrastructure. So your tractor, so we converted a trailer to be our cooling unit. So things like that, where we were totally fine getting started on leased land, and it ended up being just this divine situation. Like, feel like the Lord set this land apart for us and set this situation up for us, that it's just too miraculous, too good to be true kind of thing. Where she said, Kate said, "Oh, let me talk to my friend. Her husband owns a lot of land, and we met him out here. His name's Mike Wampold, and we just met him for 10 minutes, and he was like, 'Oh yeah, sure.'
I'm just sitting on the land. Might as well use it."
And there's an old barn there. Yeah, this land here. And we're like, "What's going on with that cabin over there?" All the windows were busted out, and he was like, "Yeah, if you want to fix that up, that'd be great." And this place just it's so much better than we could have ever asked for. And we're like, "Oh yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, if it's okay with my sister that lives on that's where we are now. We're in at the Sugar House, Edie and Jeff Mitchell's house, and said if they're cool with it, and so it came with the best neighbors ever.
We sat at this table, me and her.
Yeah, we had a whole business plan that we've been working on for years, and I think they didn't even really want to see it. I think they just got a good feeling about us, and also not a lot to lose. And it turns out that this place we're on the northwest corner of Harveston. We didn't know it at the time, but it's this legend developer's legacy project that's been decades in the planning, and I bet they kind of thought maybe a farm would be very cool here. But I think maybe somebody came, this is my vision, like somebody was like, "Hey, like it's called Harveston, let's do a farm there." And they're like, "Yeah, okay, John, we'll do a farm there."
Yeah, we'll put a farm here.
We'll just get some people that want to, okay, yeah, we'll put that on the ideas board. And so I think I think we kind of fell in their laps too, and we feel really blessed to be here. And it's what we had already been interested in for years. In Arkansas, we were out to eat at one of these farm-to-table restaurants, and it was a brewery, and we got we started chumming up with the table next to us. And it turns out he's this developer that's been brought in from North Carolina to this place called Hot Springs Village, which I'd never heard of, but it's a 15,000 person gated community. It is a small city. That's this development. Has a Walmart, has like, I think several Walmarts, has like 4 golf courses. But so he was brought in to update it, and so this developer was interested in farming as from a real estate perspective as far as adding value. And he was the first one to share with me some of the economics of golf courses, which he's saying demographically isn't the move. And maybe if you're building Santa Maria now, maybe you don't put a golf course with it, or maybe you don't. Maybe you change it up, because one hole of golf takes, I think he said, $40,000 to $80,000 per hole per year to maintain.
I believe it.
And so it's a big thing and he was saying the millennials the young professionals that are coming up and we're transitioning to, they might play golf once every 3 years. It's not a big selling point to them, like a farm would be, where when we started this farm with only 30,000. And so maybe 10,000 in our tractor, 10,000 in cooling unit, 10,000 miscellaneous. put up a hoop house to do our seed starting and fertilizer and market setup and that kind of thing. But so relatively, which is a lot of money. That is a great deal of money. But
Right.
you know, a friend who has a restaurant, he's like, oh, we spent 3x that putting in a fryer hood on our roof. You know, like, that's just one.
That's one air conditioning unit.
Just one thing. Yes. So in the grand scheme of things, that it's not compared to a one hole of golf. You could have a whole organic farm that's servicing hundreds of families, and so that's pretty neat. That was always in our mind, and especially from the farming side, where a lot of the value, it doesn't get captured in the $3 bag of salad at the farmer's market. You know, that lettuce was looking beautiful for the previous 30 days. Like so much of the beautiful, the beauty capital, I guess, is we are just the ones consuming it, you know, here. So that was always our mind, that agritourism, getting people out to the farm, making it a place that they belong to, and feeling like it was a misstep for our society to have all the agriculture over here and all the people living over here. That there's a lot of reasons why you want the two together, for closing some of the nutrient loops. You know, so it's one of the reasons we're excited about being here and part of this community. There's going to be restaurants coming in. There's a school being built. So if we can, we'd love to get their food scraps and raise high quality hogs and chickens on them and sell that back to the community, or have it where people could come here and do a couchon and cool stuff like that. And then also, you read in the Bible about this thing called gleaning. You know, there was a thing in the Old Testament where it'd say, don't pick all your crops. Don't 100% it, which you don't have to really tell somebody not to do. It's like if you have a giant field of blueberries, it's like the harvesters go through. There's plenty of blueberries left behind. So same with us, where this concept of gleaning could work, where people that are in need can come glean from a farm. But you can't do that if all the food's grown in California and all the people live in the cities.
Yeah, it's all imported in. It's like you can't go out to where it's harvested and created and actually benefit from that extra just kind of sitting there.
Yes, because say when we harvest a bed of arugula, we're picking the top tips to make a really high quality salad mix. Well, there's 2/3 of the plant left there that's entirely edible. That if somebody was hungry or something, there's plenty of food left there. And I know a lot of farmers are like that, basically.
So what do y'all do with it now?
Right now, we're any food. We're pretty honed in on what we harvest. We like to sell, and we're getting into value added stuff. So the squash that are too big to sell, can we make zoodles with them and dehydrate them? The cucumbers that are too big, a big hit has been juicing them and selling cucumber juice. So that's where we're really honed in on. And then whenever we were getting started, though, there was some dislocation, and we would take it to the Gardier Christian School. We were dropping off stuff there every week. But as we've gotten honed in on what to grow, what not to grow, how much to grow, pretty much, I mean, not 100% efficiency, but what is left over is a small amount, and it's fed to the chickens. So they're our composting system, where we feed them the scraps. We raise their bedding up, mixing it with, I gather up leaves and stuff from when I'm doing deliveries. I go there with an empty bed and try to leave with a full bed of leaves, and use that around the farm. So that's kind of the plan now. But
chickens are like the best compost bin. We used to raise we used to raise probably 40 or 50 egg-laying chickens at my parents' house.
Wow.
And it was, no, don't throw that away. Everything goes into the chicken bucket. And every night when we go lock them up, because we'd let them free range during the day, we'd go and just dump buckets of food and all the watermelon rinds and everything. They would just scratch all that into the dirt and would just absolutely love it. So those chickens make everything a lot easier to go full circle. Same thing with your hogs. You know, that's what is that kind of the progression that people see in farming, is they start off with pure plant-based and then they start adding animals as they realize they've got all this extra, or is that just something y'all are recognizing?
It's an interesting phenomenon, and I liken it to rappers and NBA players.
Okay.
Where the vegetable farmers are kind of wanting to get into the dip their toe into the animal game, and the animal farmers are. I go visit cattlemen and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, look at this tiller. I bought it a few years ago. I'm gonna do a garden out here. I promise you." You know, and or they're like, "Look at these fruit trees I planted." You know, and so I think that the animals and vegetable farmers really like to be would like to dip their toe into the other one. So we're the vegetable farmers that would love to get into the animals, but are aware that you can only do a few things well. So
And
kind of knowing
find the things you can do well.
Yeah, knowing who you are, and then sort of the other things that we'll add on will be homestead, hobby scale, but maybe hobbies that could break even. Basically, is what the pigs could be.
Yeah.
That's what the chickens are. Hobbies that they give us peace. They definitely give us peace of mind having a homestead. And it's just a good investment. You get a chicken for $2. Like you're saying, feed it your kitchen scraps, and a chicken I think lays 1,000 eggs in its lifetime. In a few years.
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5 years you start to cycle them out. I believe, if my memory serves me well.
Yeah, if you're serious in the egg game, it's after 2 years. But because it falls off. But you're right. They'll lay
for a good 4 or 5 years. But that's the kind of the humorous part is when we were starting to do all this. So I was homeschooled from 4th grade on, and so we were always at the house. My parents wanted chickens and whatnot, and so did my mom. Like for like random holidays, we'd be like, all right, here, you get a chicken book, brother, you get a rabbit book, you get a horse book. Y'all learn how to take care of these animals. So we each one of my brothers and I, we each had a designated animal. So one of my brothers had rabbits, I had chickens, my other brother had cattle and horses.
That's very cool.
Like
awesome.
we would learn how to do all that and then raise it and kind of be like, all right, here's what we were able to harvest today.
That's a real education.
It was fun, and very well glad that happened.
Yeah.
That's what we'd like to do with our kids. That same author I talked about, Joel Salatin, he talks about he says your farm's not really sustainable unless it's generating 4 salaries from at least 2 generations, and that's a pretty good metric to think about, that it can outlive you. It's really sustainable and not just dependent on. I guess it's like a lot of businesses too.
Yeah, it's a business.
To where is your restaurant really going to outlive you? If you're not the one that's in the kitchen doing the chefing, and so and he talks about getting his kids involved, and all his kids started farm businesses, and now his grandkids do it. I think each of his kids, he said, had $20,000 saved up by the time they were 20 from their own farm enterprise. Whether it was baking pies or duck eggs, one did rabbits. And so I think that's cool. And it's so good to dip your toe into it. And one of the reasons why we do it is, we talked about the return on it, and you'll appreciate this from the financial side, where it's like, what if I told you about an investment, that it's $40 and you're going to get, I don't know how much a pint of blueberries are worth, but
I've no
like
idea.
A blueberry bush, an expensive blueberry bush might be $50, but you'll get 12 to 24 pints of blueberries for 20 to 40 years.
Yeah.
That it's, if someone told you about people brag about a 5% return on this portfolio or something, and where nature is just yawning at the returns of that. Nature is returning 1,000%. Returns are just big returns.
I've started seeing people will sell investments in cattle. So like, you want to buy this round of cattle, and then we farm it, we take care of it, but here's what you're going to pay, operating costs, and then when we go to sell it, there's your return. And so now they've figured out a way to create that environment where the farmers are taking on bearing the actual labor to do it, but they're taking outside investor money in their crops. So it's like, hey, this year's crop is going to cost us X to plant it, cultivate it, fertilize it, and whatnot. You want to invest in a portion of the proceeds, and you get it once we harvest. So that's interesting business models to take into. It's like, we want to start in some hog litters. Well, let's see if we can get people to invest in a litter or buy a sire, and we'll have them, and then you get the proceeds from their offspring.
That's pretty cool. And farmers have been doing that same sort of thing on the smaller scale.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what influenced us, this thing called a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, where it works a lot of different ways, but it's a way for the farmer who needs that upfront capital to get started, and then the investors are the people who buy the farm share, who are to get the return from the farm and get paid for us it's the produce from the farm, but people are doing that same sort of thing, and people are getting the shares of the cow or getting the return from the orchard, and so that's something we dipped our toe into. It's not fully financialized, but it is essentially the same thing, where it's like, look, pay this and you'll get a good return on it. We'll give you the return on it in vegetables.
So when y'all got started, y'all were connected with the farmers market here in Baton Rouge, but y'all have obviously expanded to different sets of customers. How did you go about finding new customers outside of the farmers market?
Yeah, the farmers market is a wonderful way for a new farm to start, because you're coming, they don't have expectations versus if you're selling to a restaurant or something that has to have regular, like, 10 pounds of lettuce every week or whatever. So it was a really great way to start. And then it was really pretty natural evolving into serving the restaurants. And we did a lot of that in Arkansas. And so we went pretty heavy into, it was about half at the farmer's market, half at the restaurants. And then COVID changed the restaurants overnight for us. So we shifted and got a website up and got online ordering up overnight so that we could take people's orders. And there was a drive-through farmer's market. So it was interesting. Our restaurant sales pretty much went to zero, but the home cooks were really went up. So at the end of the year, our numbers were the same as the previous year, and that's an advantage of being a small business, is we can pivot quickly. So COVID changed a lot of things, and we still, like Kocha that is downtown there, they come down to the farmers market and shop with farmers every week. So we still have some restaurant relationships, but we've leaned more into the individual families. So like Grant was saying, we have a CSA, community supported agriculture. So we do 3 10-week seasons of our CSA, and we started with like 20, and now we're up to like 75 now. And then recently we've partnered with Iverstein Butcher, and they've got their beautiful shop. Their new shop is just gorgeous, and we've got refrigeration space there, and then also at Building 5. So that's been really nice to have somewhere that people can go throughout the week and get our fresh produce. So that's really how we do it now. Is so we're still pretty dialed in, as far as our streams, but it is nice to have some different streams to kind of get the different products. But we think of our farm, we grow on about an acre. So we're small scale, we're intensively managed. So we think about serving 200 families.
Okay. So an acre of land can service 200 families?
Oh yeah.
That's impressive.
I'm telling you, the returns on nature are incredible.
And like what's y'all's produce? So I know Misty and Brumbia Building 5 turned me on to y'all.
Oh yeah.
Initially, then y'all reached out, like, okay, I gotta sit down with Fullness Farm. Like our sponsor's saying we get our food from them. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
So what exactly are y'all actually harvesting here?
We're very diverse. I mean, we might grow 150 varieties throughout the year different stuff, but what we're really known for is our spring mix and baby greens, microgreens, and then our other biggest sellers would be carrots and tomatoes. Okay. But we really grow the gamut, and
everything else, yeah.
It's the third week in July. We'll stop our CSA, and we're also going to take a break from the farmers market. So we're at the very tail end of our season. And then we think of our farming year starting, like when school's starting, August, September. And so we go heavy into the cool season crops then. So that's a lot of your greens and root vegetables and broccoli, cabbages.
It's the struggle between being too diverse but knowing who you are within vegetables too. You can't grow everything. So a lot of lettuce, a lot of baby greens. And then there's strength in diversity. But then it's also where early on it was funny, like maybe we were too diverse, where I was looking at the guy that grows across from me at the market. I'm like, man, he only grows 10 things and everything is what people have heard of. It's like, and I look at mine, I'm like, I've got 10 things and everything I got to explain what it is. It's like dandelion and
kohlrabi.
Yeah. And, so we love growing the weird stuff. So we still are really, really diverse, but we have honed in where it's, you get the direct feedback, you get the marketing signals where it's, we need to grow more lettuce. We can't grow enough carrots. So honing in, but still being diverse. You want to have a good spread. In the CSA every week is 6 to 8 items. So every week we want it to be balanced as far as not just being filled with cooking greens or being filled with, but then as the week changes, bringing them on a journey through the season. So last fall, I think it was over 30 or 40 different fruits and vegetables that people got in 10 weeks.
Wow.
When we kept a spreadsheet, and it was like, all right, that's pretty good.
And that part is what I love with local farmers. You kind of have to shift your menus by what the earth provides from what the season is. Whereas if you go to some other restaurants that purchase from out of state, it's consistent all year round.
Right.
But you can tell when it's peak season for some of those fruits and vegetables because they're
For
a
real.
whole lot better in some time of the year than they are in other years. You know, it's like oysters and all.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting how everything has a season, but yet
Yes.
we don't often think about it when we go to restaurants. We want the same thing, whether it's October or whether it's, March. Like we
Sure.
want the same thing within different times of the year. But in reality, it's like that's not how an ecosystem works. Like there's some ebb and flows.
Yeah.
And this time of
Yeah.
year, like you're saying, you eat a lot more root vegetables,
Yeah,
you eat a lot
yeah,
more lettuce and greens, and
Yeah.
then other times of the year, it's different.
And then
Yeah.
humans want the variety.
Yeah.
Humans want variety, and then so that's one of the best compliments we get from the CSA. People be like, "Man, thank you for, sort of like you're saying. It's sort of why you people listen to Spotify or hire a DJ
Yeah.
because they're curating the music for them, but you enjoy the spontaneity of it. So people are like, "Thank you for the fennel," but it's not just here's the fennel at any random time of year. It's like, no, here is the fennel, here's the peak, and they're really like you're saying. There really is with tomatoes. There's a 3-week period where it's like really good, the absolute best, still really good, but there's a peak to it at the year that getting them that you can appreciate it. So it's getting people the best stuff the best time of year, kind of bringing them on a veggie bon voyage, and
It's fun to
let
see
them experience
people.
it.
You'll definitely see it at the farmers market where it's a first time customer. For some reason with arugula, I've seen it a lot where they'll come, they get some things, and then the next week it's like you just see it in their eyes. They're like, "Do you have any more arugula?"
Where's the
Like
arugula?
I need to have some
more
Yeah.
Those cells
Give me
are
the
wanting that
arugula.
stuff, you know.
But there are times when like I'll eat something, just in the field or whatever, and the way I say it is like my body's just like, yes, this is what I want to be eating, and
Yeah.
your brain kind of brings you back to it. And it's also interesting when you're eating seasonally that it feels like the produce that's available at that time is really what you're craving. Like now,
Right.
when it's hot, we got watermelons
Give
and
me a melon.
cucumbers, and it's like tomatoes. Like everything's very heavy. Everything's heavy because it's all the water weight in the summer,
Right.
and then in the winter, like you're talking about with the root vegetables, it's like hardier and whatever. So
So
it's
there's something
interesting.
to eating seasonally, being seasonal. I enjoy, like, we're outside every day. So there's just things I never really got growing up and being in school, being outside, and appreciating the different seasons, how the sun changes, how the lighting's different,
Your pace is different,
the length of the days. I never really paid attention to that. Truly, I kind of knew about it, but never really
Impacted
didn't really
your
know
business.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And horticulture, gardening, farming, whatever is ripe for analogies, and and so there's seasons in life. Even if you are in the office, you've got seasons to your own personal life, and like when you're in the dog days of summer, it's hard to remember that winter will come.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of a fun thing as far as like as we get older and all that kind of stuff, kind of the lessons that you learn in the garden and being involved, participating in nature, participating in this whole design that we're a part of, and not being separated from it, but being able to like be co-creators.
And there is season in what we like to eat, especially in South Louisiana. Right now, I'm not craving a gumbo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, totally.
I don't want a good
Totally.
warm gumbo, but
Yeah.
Hearty stew. Or
right, or a
Yeah,
hearty
yeah.
stew. So like a jambalaya,
Yeah.
there's crawfish season.
Right,
It's like so
right,
there
right,
is
right.
these seasons.
Totally.
But when you go to a restaurant, it's like it's always the same thing every year, and then they kind of play around with their specials. But I feel
Yeah.
like kind of Building 5, they're more flexible in what they serve. You're not going to be able to get maybe a hearty stew on a very hot summer day, but you
Yeah.
can get a very light salad or some watermelon and stuff like that. And it's exciting when I'm able to see you're sourcing your local products and you're actually showcasing this is the time of year, so our menu's going to be different.
Sure.
Come back in the fall and our menu's going to be different.
Yeah,
It's
it's a new
constantly
experience.
changing for what we are able to get because of how we buy and source our produce.
Right.
So you've got
That's a
an
good
acre
word.
of land and you do all these different things. Is there plans for expansion? I mean, what's on the horizon for Fullness Farms?
Yes, there's always getting better for sure, but
Yeah.
isn't necessarily getting bigger. But a good, we would like to expand. There's land around here that I would love to do a U-pick orchard, but that might be 5 years away. Where we really expanded this past year is into doing dinners here and putting in gardens, getting back into how we got started. You know, that so
I've been putting in kitchen gardens, home gardens for people a lot more, and there's a real big demand for that. So, I mean, just personally, we have kids, and so my role has changed in the farm after having children, where we used to be shoulder to shoulder doing everything side by side. And so since having kids, my role's changed on the farm. But you know, talking about entrepreneurial kind of spirit, it's like this is something that really fits in well with a schedule like mine. I can take a garden when I want and not when I don't, and fit it in when my kids are at school and cared for. And it's super fun to be like growing gardeners, you know, be like teaching other people how to grow and the excitement that comes with it. And also manage, the Roseanne has a silo farm, they call it, but a community garden where homeowners rent out some beds, we manage some beds, we harvest what's available, wash and pack it out for the homeowners to take. And again, kind of talking about the amenity of having horticulture, growing crops in an established neighborhood. So that was something that we have a sticky note in our kitchen of like 4 ideas we could kind of like go into, you know, and so we kind of you try a few things and some's like, nope, that's not the thing. And then sometimes you try something and it's like, yes, this is getting a solid feedback. So, you know, we have now a landing page on our website where people can contact us if they want to garden. And so, yeah, that's been really fun in this past year. But Grant is like totally a visionary. So I wouldn't have been bold enough to say this is what I am going to do and without him. So, I mean,
yeah, we're a good team. Like, I'm like pie in the sky, but then you need somebody to like, all right, well, if we're going to plan that out, I don't, you know, here's what you got to think about. And it's like, oh yeah, that's true. You know, like where I could never have pulled this off without you. And we're just, I remember we did that personality test and we were the exact opposite on every Myers-Briggs letter.
Or compliments.
Yeah, compliments.
There you go. Look, that's what it takes.
So it really does work. So yeah, we're always thinking about ways to get better and things to do differently and where we want to go. And so part of it is getting better too. So we got these other enterprises within that we're adding on, but then also just getting better at what we do with greenhouses. That's how I felt since the first year. Just wow, this worked. And it wasn't even, like, we're not even half as good as it could be. And,
yeah, so it gets easier as we go on, you know. It's
definitely gotten easier and better. And so that's always in the back of my mind. But we would love to expand, do a U-Pick orchard, do a nursery, a self-service nursery and farm stand, and then do more agritourism. You know, I think when we first started, our mission statement was very, like, to grow the best food possible, right?
Yeah.
But it's expanded and it really ties in with our name where there's this fullness to life that when you experience agriculture, or I don't know how to say it exactly, but like you were saying, wow, we used to grow chickens, wow, we used to do this, that there's this, oh wow, a tomato that's in season. Oh wow, I didn't know how good a farm raised carrot was. Wow, the arugula really maybe triggered something in my epigenetics that now I'm craving it, you know, and that there's this fullness that people aren't getting from the supermarket, aren't getting from the drive-through, or maybe on, and that it ties in with a lot of stuff that, you know, I really enjoy. That it ties in with why we want to be people's family farmer. That people should have a family farmer like they have a family tutor or dentist or therapist or pastor or something like that. Like,
yeah,
people are like, hey, who cut your hair? I'm new to town. Who cut your hair? You know, they're not just going to go to any barber, let's say.
Right. We want to have a referral to go somewhere and be kind of directed if we're experiencing something new.
But who knows the farmer that grew the food that they're eating? You know, would they? So that's kind of that. There's something that people are missing out on from not knowing their rancher, from not, you know, you talk to the ranchers and they're really proud. You know, talk to them about their grass, their soil, their cows, their genetics. Like, it's not just beef. It's what's for dinner. Mm-hmm. It's like, here are some Brangus, you know, things that we're crossing. And, oh man, we got this new bull. We're going to introduce this genetics, and they're really, you know, oh man, I re-mineralized my soil, and the grass is looking so good. There's that they're not. It's not a homogenized generic product. It's a differentiated product, and it's it's something that people are just missing out on. And then the ultimate thing of that is, hey, here, try this egg that from my thing. Try, when you do it yourself and you have something to share and grow, and that I liken it to whenever I started hunting with my brother. I felt like it was something that I'd been missing out on. Being in the woods, being hyper vigilant, being keenly aware. Oh man, we're going through the woods with ARs, and we're worried because we're stalking these hogs, and they really we're kneeing these palmettos, and they really could pop out anywhere. So you're vigilant, and I felt like something in it made me different whenever I was in a crowded situation at Tiger Stadium or something, just something, and so it's like a human who's never experienced this kind of good food and hasn't participated in their own food production is sort of missing out. Like, it's like a human who's never heard music before, or never gathered around a campfire, or never, sort of those sort of things that it means to be a human.
Right.
That this is something that a surprising amount of people in our society are missing out on, and food has been cheapened, and health. Like, there's this graph that Joel Salatin shares where he's showing there's never been a society in history that spends less of its income on food. Less than 10% of our income we spend on food.
And we want to get it as cheap and as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
And then there's never been a society that spends more on healthcare. And the graphs do like this over time, where it used to be you spend about 25% on your food and less than 10% on healthcare, which is sick care.
Right.
And so there's something to that. There's something to that, that there is no shortcut, maybe. You want cheap food and this kind of stuff, but it has these external costs and part of that is just where you end up with bad art, where the food is bad art. It's not what it was meant to be, and it's not as enjoyable. And then, people don't kind of know what they're missing out on until they try it and they really like it. And that's what really got us into it. I didn't really like tomatoes until we started growing them, because why would I like them? They taste like water. They're probably refrigerated, just the whole gambit. That it's not really a tomato, and so we really get a lot of kick out of that. People, like her dad was eating our tomatoes last week, and he was saying, it wasn't just this figment of my imagination. Like I wasn't misremembering tomatoes from my youth.
Yeah,
this is it. This is what I had, and I've been missing out on it for 50 years But this is what I remember.
And we used to raise Nubian dairy goats.
Oh yeah.
And
Nice.
goat milk still to this day for me is like the best milk I've ever had. And people are like, no, what you get in the stores. I'm like, no. Yeah, what you get in the store's been there for 30 days or whatnot. Like, it's been there for a while. I'm talking about milking them in the morning, running it through only a coffee filter, and then sticking it in the freezer to drop the temp. And then, like, we would get a gallon of milk a day. And so I would start selling it at little homeschool events to people because we couldn't consume it all.
Yeah.
And would sell little quarts at a time to some classmates and whatnot. And it was so good and rich and just pure, great milk. That's totally different than what we've got now. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it was so worth every ounce of effort that we would put into making it happen. I keep telling my wife, if there's any time that we want to just leave and go, I'm fine. we can go and just do a little farm. I'm good. I'm cool with that. Perfectly content to raise some animals and some produce.
And that peace of mind, that I think alters the character of life. Having that peace of mind that that it'll be okay. We could go live in a school bus and flip some land and be just fine. I think that's powerful, and that's really cool.
It's been interesting giving, like, we'll give tours out here or things like that. Just how you're talking about your childhood and your experience with agriculture and all that kind of stuff, or my dad talking about the tomato of his youth. People have very, very strong memories around food and food with their family, and like everybody. And it seems like it's a generation removed, maybe, it wasn't like our parents, well, your parents were, but maybe like that generation before, they definitely grew up with the garden or whatever. But shelling peas on the front porch, or putting up corn with grandma or whatever. It's remarkable the strong memories associated with food from childhood that people will excitedly remember, and that's I don't know what it means or anything. It's just notable, that there's a strong connection to it.
It reminds me of a farmer's market customer that was, I think they mentioned a nonprofit. It might be called the Dinner Project or the Dinner Plate or something like that. But she was talking about all the factors that, if you look in the newspaper at those National Merit finalists, 100% of them are sharing X number of meals as a family together around a table. And the vocabulary retention, and it reminds me of that meme where it's like, what's wrong with the world is no one's shelling peas with grandma anymore. On the and so, there's something to that. This, like you were saying, it alters I think it alters your mind frame. And just like I was saying, where going hunting, even though I'm not hunting 24/7, having that experience was definitely something I'm taking with me, and it changes who I am when I'm in another situation.
Yeah, it kind of also exposes you to a lot more than just doing a 9 to 5 and not getting out and doing anything else.
Yes.
Just living in that lifestyle of constantly buying and never producing. I think there's a difference in when you produce something and then when you consume something.
Yes.
That you never see the full circle if you never have the chance to see what it is that takes the production side of things to come to the table, go to the restaurant where you're at. What was the process to get the hops to make the beer that you're drinking, and it's growing up in Sunshine, Louisiana. My girlfriend got to recognize the seasonality of growing crops, and then also recognizing, wait, they have to swap fields because they can't plant the same crop twice, and so they're altering between beans and corn. And then she would make the joke, you've been dating a country boy a long time when you start seeing the new crops come up. You start seeing the little seedlings, and then you see them harvesting. Okay, we've been together a while. This was just in the dirt, now they're harvesting it. And seeing it year over year, it's really incredible to know that there's still that source here locally within a 20-minute drive of the heart of Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and that's what we want to be part of a renaissance of providing something that people are missing out on, and that there's and even if you're in if you're in a suburban cul-de-sac, that there are things that can enrich your life and make it fuller. Enjoying meals around the table as a family, sharing food traditions, planting fruit trees, getting backyard chickens. So we kind of think about it like food on a spectrum, and so helping people, lure them over to a better way that's more appealing and at least a higher quality of life, and just what we've experienced going along that journey ourselves.
Absolutely. So kind of as we start to wrap up the show, we have a set list of questions we like to ask everybody. So the first one being, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
My first thought was, I used to play soccer, and a lot. And, you could just, run forever. And, I'll have dreams about playing soccer. And then I actually tried to play soccer pretty recently. And it's kind of like my dreams happen where you, you know what you want to do, but then your legs crumple out from under you or something like that.
Body segment.
That was
today.
the first thing that came to.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a good one. Have my heart rate above X for more than a minute. Yeah, that would be a good one. And I was gonna say build we used to spend all day building tree houses in the woods, and just totally just run around. No one knew where we were, and just there was a lot of more. I guess just I don't want to go back to it, but that it would be fun for a day, But I was gonna say that, but then we can just do that.
You can still do that.
We're gonna build a treehouse. We're gonna add on to our treehouse this summer.
There you go.
And so yeah, that was the first.
Yeah, and I do have a soccer goal in our backyard that I could get back there too.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Just finding the time to make it happen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life's still busy even on a farm.
I guess what is just no responsibility.
Yeah.
That and I don't really want no responsibility.
Yeah.
But that is something from the childhood that's oh yeah, we could just no one cares where we are, no one needs us.
Yeah. Somebody puts lunch on the back doorstep for you.
Yeah.
So what are 3 lessons y'all have learned along the way?
3 lessons. Start small. Patience. And then
I think something that's remarkable for farming is just showing up every day.
Ooh, yeah.
You get far down the road just doing one foot in front of the other and not stopping.
Enduring, yeah.
Yeah.
persevering. And then ABC, always be seeding. You know?
I like that.
Sure. That's for sure. Yeah, that you just say, you know, if you get if a tornado comes, if a hurricane comes, if a big freeze comes, kills everything, just you can always, you started with nothing, you can start over. Just, you know, every week we're seeding. That's kind of a difference between the big farmers and us, or they're maybe just all their fields in corn or soybeans, whereas the name of our game is succession, planting every week. And
yeah,
but so yeah, not getting too up on a good week and not getting too down on a bad week. It's like, yeah, it's gonna St. Patrick's Day was this week and nobody came to the market. Like, it's all good. You don't do everything in 1 week. And but yeah, persevering through it, you know, just staying with the program, kind of like grew up watching Nick Saban, you know, so he would talk about, you know, hey, trust that they just blew out somebody. He's like, yeah, we don't really care. We're putting in our work for this thing. It's a process kind of thing. And so that's kind of a big lesson with farming is.
It's like the Tigers against Florida on Sunday. Got a big blowout, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Not worried about that.
Yep.
Came back and won it.
Keep
Exactly.
going. Yep. Brush it off.
So what is something y'all love about Baton Rouge?
The people, friends and family. The farmers market has been so good. But yeah, I would say the people, because it's like our customers, our church family, our family, you know, is would never. That's really the thing that we wanted to move back to and be a part of.
Absolutely. So, for the final question, what is something that I can do to help y'all?
Oh,
that's sweet.
What you're doing?
Yeah,
this is great. Just keep doing what you're doing.
This is a higher calling, making Baton Rouge cooler. Celebrating what we have and what's going on, and shining the light on people's lights, making their spotlight a little bit bigger, and I think that's a high calling.
So how can people get a hold of y'all? How can they order? What's the best way to consume Fullness Farm?
Yeah, so we have a website, fullnessfarm.com, and then we're active on social media. And I mean, there's a number on the website. If you want to call us, you can email us. If you're interested in a garden, there's a form you can fill out on the website to get in touch with me about that. And then you can find our products at the Red Stick Farmers Market every Saturday from 8 to 12 at Iverstein Farms at Building 5. And you can join our CSA from the website as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Allison. Thank you, Grant, for coming on. I really appreciate
y'all's
time.
Yeah. This was lovely.
Having us out here at the farm. This is a really cool place, so thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome here anytime.
Great. I'm glad to know. I might need some help with some gardens at my house.
We'll help you any way we can. That's really cool.
Well, thank y'all, and thank you, everybody else, for watching or listening to the show. I really appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. We're going to have all of their information for Fullness Farms linked up in the show notes as well as social media, so be sure to check them out. Let them know you heard about them on the Patty G Show. If you're out of state and want to order, reach out. I'm sure they can figure out something to get you some produce. So thank y'all so very much, and thank you to the amazing folks that bring you this show each and every week. Hear a little bit more about them right now.
Welcome to the brand new Falaya mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy-to-use app for your phone. When you download the Falaya mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falaya in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falaya, it's real estate reimagined.
Thank you so very much to Building 5 for becoming the latest sponsor of the Patty G Show. We are going to be filming once a month at Building 5. We're going to post about it on our social so you can come and visit with us. Building 5 is an excellent food establishment if you're into sharing boards and really getting a creative menu. Misty and Brumby have done an excellent job of creating an environment that's warm, welcoming, and inviting for every single occasion. Go on over to Building 5 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and tell them that the Patty G Show sent you.
Imagine taxiing on a plane looking toward the end of the runway. It seems so far away, it's even hard to see it. And that's what the concept of retirement probably felt like when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, way far in the distance, not visible or even a concern. But as you turn 50, something happens. Retirement suddenly seems like something real, something not too far away. In your 50s, you are rolling down the runway. Retirement is getting closer and closer, faster and faster, weeks and months zipping by. But are you even ready for a successful takeoff to retirement? Fear not, there's still runway left. But the time is now. Time to make progress and time to get a plan. The Runway Decade will help you get organized, get energized, and give you the direction you need to take off to your desired retirement. The Runway Decade, building a pre-retirement flight plan in your 50s.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you. McClavy's Limited, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show, has been serving the Baton Rouge area proudly for 40-plus years. Gentlemen and ladies, if you're shopping for your man, there is no other place in the Baton Rouge area to get your clothing, whether it's game day needs, everyday needs, business attire, formal attire, whatever you want. Go over there, see Frank and Ashley. It's a father-daughter duo. They do incredible things in their store. They will outfit you from as simply a shirt that you need for one evening or all the way to a full wardrobe overhaul. They're going to take care of you every step of the way, and be sure and let them know that Patty G Show sent you.
The Patty G Show is proudly brought to you by Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry is a local business right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They create handcrafted jewelry for everyday use, that special occasion, whatever it may be. Gentlemen, they've got amazing jewelry both for male and female. Everyone is our audience. You know, after years of experimenting with everything from ceramic jewelry, glass beads, and enamel, they've settled in on the ancient art of lost wax casting is their main form of creating their work. They cast everything in bronze, sterling silver, and 14-karat gold. Every step of the way is done here right in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Proud sponsors of the Patty G Show. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelers. Get out there and tell them that Patty G sent you, and they're going to take great care of you on your next order.